Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Nonsense Podcast. This is your host, Marvin G., together with my wife,
Caroline.
And she was talking about something very interesting right now before we went on the air. Why don't you tell everyone what you were talking about? What is it that you wanted
Married stuff.
Married stuff.
Married.
We'll leave that for another podcast.
Married stuff.
What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? How are you doing, Caroline?
Whew, I feel good. I have been on a, I don't know.
A cleaning kick?
Yeah, well, I just cleaned the floors, and then our car was just a whole nother level.
It was disgusting, yeah.
So I vacuumed it, and I wiped it down, so at least to help a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because we went to the beach. We've gone camping
like 3 weeks ago, and a week ago we went camping, and
that car,
nasty.
That car was a mess. Yeah.
It stinks. So, yeah. Anyway, I wiped it down, so I feel good.
Okay, good.
Having a good day.
Well, I wanted to do this podcast urgently since
a
few days ago.
I did feel the urgent.
Yeah, but
tone when you said
there's so much going on that. I just couldn't find the time to do it, but it was it's either now or we're going to wait another week before we do it again.
I know, seriously.
But what I wanted to share is something that really has been bothering me as far as the condition of the church in general, not our church specifically, but just in general. I feel like all these things are happening and I feel like nobody is doing anything.
Okay.
That's how I feel. That's how I see things. But obviously, there are people that are doing things.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to. I'm just speaking generally. Right now the Olympics are starting, and there's a lot of controversy about the whole drag queen thing. Sure. That's one of the things. Yeah.
Okay.
Why? What did you want to say about that?
No. I want to hear what you have to say.
No. Well, it's not so much that I want to say something about the Olympic thing. Yes. When I first saw it, I was like, no, I think everyone's just jumping to conclusions. But once I saw the actual video, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty close to what the final supper looks like. And the fact that they're making a mockery out of Christianity is it seems like everywhere you look.
Yeah.
And I think it sucks because, it seems like Christianity is the punching bag of the world now. Yes. You can make fun of Christianity and our faith and what we believe in, but God forbid you make any fun of Muslims. God forbid you make any fun of Buddhists, the LGBT community. God forbid you say anything against them, because then you are labeled as somebody that is hateful. You are labeled as, it goes on and on and on. But then, you see things all over everywhere of them making fun of our beliefs, and we just have to take it. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening. We're just taking the punches, and it feels like we're not doing anything about it.
I saw part of the opening act with the girls. They were so excited.
Yeah, the ceremony.
They were so excited to watch it. And it was nothing like we expected it. I think they were expecting more of the sports aspect of it. And
I think that's the part that I was confused too, because I still haven't seen the full ceremony.
Yeah, no.
And then I saw that part of it, so I just looked at a video of that, and then I saw the video about the horsemen.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the full ceremony.
We literally just saw the first maybe half an hour. I don't know. No, maybe 15, 20 minutes, to the point where they were promoting things that are popular in France, and they ended up
what?
Doing a menage a trois.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's up because that's where Fia saw the two men kissing. Oh my and then I was like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me, right? And then
for those of you that probably don't know French and don't know what a menage a trois is, it's basically a threesome.
Yeah. So, and there was, and that was a point where they were showing in a library, they had different topics of that are popular in France. And then they ended up that's the scene that we saw where there was a couple and then another one came and two men and a woman and Ais, whatever, they closed the door and the message was yeah. So after that, I told the girls, okay, I think we're done watching this.
Yeah.
before that, we saw a scene where there was like these people singing and their heads were like down here. They were like headless. And I was like, what the heck? But obviously I was distracted doing something. So I kept looking up and kind of like, okay, but I told them, I think it's not what we were expecting. So they agreed, like, let's not watch it. But thank God we didn't, because, like it was pretty disturbing. And I heard on a different podcast the same thing of what you said. Like, we as Christians are the punching bag, and I feel like it's unfair, obviously. And when is it going to stop?
And I think that's the part that I feel so burdened, upset, and this is really what I want to talk about, because I preached this when I was in Florida the last time. This just 3 weeks ago that I was in Florida. I preached this, and this is a message that I feel like I've preached a few times already, and I just feel like God always puts it in my heart. Every so often. And again, like, I kept meditating on that word, and it's a story that everybody knows, but I don't think that we focus on the story before the big thing. But David and Goliath.
Yeah.
When you hear David and Goliath, obviously you think about David and the slingshot and him killing the giant, right?
Right.
So that's the part I think that we focus on the most. But the part that I've been preaching, and honestly, this is with all of my heart that I say this. If you hear this and you say like, no, we need to hear that message, and you want to invite me to come preach this message, like, please reach out to me. I will do everything that I can to be there. Gosh. Like, for real. Like, I feel like it's a message that the church needs to hear. But the story of David and Goliath, it's in 1 Samuel, 1 Samuel chapter 17. That's where the story starts, and it starts off by talking about who Goliath is, and it talks about him being a giant. It talks about him being a champion fighter. It talks about the weight of his armor. It talks about how big he is. Like, I mean, the Bible goes into great detail to describe who Goliath is. And all we know about David at this point is that he had been anointed to be the king, but he was just a shepherd. Like, right. All he did was just take care of the sheep. But this is the part that really, like this is where I feel like the Lord has been, speaking to me about this particular part. But in 1 Samuel 17:8, it says, Goliath stood and shouted a taunt across the Israelites. Why are you all coming out here to fight? He said, I am the Philistine champion, but you are only the servants of Saul. So then he just goes on in saying all of these blasphemous things against Israel. But this is the part that I want to get to. So the Bible describes that on one side, the Israelites were there, positioned for war. And then there was like a bank,
like a valley,
or a valley that separated the two camps.
Right. And
then the Goliath and the Philistines were in the other one. So he's saying, why are you lined up for battle, but yet nobody is fighting? So they were lined up, ready to go to battle, but they saw this giant and they were afraid, because it says here, where is it? It says, when in verse 11, it says, when Saul and the Israelites heard this, they were terrified and deeply shaken. So what happens when you're afraid?
You're paralyzed.
You're paralyzed. And what happens when you're paralyzed? You freeze. Exactly. You can't move, and you can't continue living the free life that you're intended to live. So they were terrified and deeply shaken. That means that they were lined up for battle, but everyone was looking around to see who was going to go fight this champion, this big enemy. Warrior. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening with the church right now. We're all supposedly lined up to go to war and lined up to go to battle. But yet when the enemy is challenging us and calling us out, we're looking around to see who's going to do something instead of you being the one to say, I'm going to fight this guy. Yeah. And then what happens after that? That's where David comes into the story. And he was like, there was the Bible talks about a jealous, a holy jealousness that you get. And that's exactly what he experienced. He was like, wait a minute, like who the heck is this freaking Philistine calling us out? Like David had the conviction of everything that God had done in his life, that when he saw this giant defying God's army and taunting them, he wasn't waiting around to see like, wait, why isn't anybody else doing anything? He took matters into his own hands, and he went and he fought against this giant, and he killed him.
Right.
And even as he went to the king and said like, hey, I will, the king said, no, like you can't do it. Like you're just a young boy. Yeah. You're like, this guy's been fighting since he was a young man. Like there's no way you're going to defeat him. And he didn't believe the lies of the devil. And he said, no, like, I don't care who you think that I am. I know who I am because I've seen what God has done with my ancestors. I see what God has done with myself, because he later goes on to describe how he killed the lion and the bear with his hands. So, I mean, he was a true witness of the power of God in him. And he had such a conviction that he could not just sit back and wait for everyone else to make a plan to go fight against this enemy because they were afraid. He may have been afraid. The Bible doesn't say it. Like maybe he was afraid. Maybe. And I think like it's okay to be afraid, but the difference is when you let fear paralyze you, or when you overcome that fear by what God has done in your life and you're able to trust in him in the process. And that's exactly what David did. He got up, he fought this giant, and he killed him. Yeah. And I feel like the message here is we are lined up for battle. We go to church on Sunday. Whatever, right? Whatever your lifestyle is as a Christian, but you're lined up for battle. You're saying, okay, yeah, I am a son of God. But right now, when you are being called to fight, you're just looking around, or you're comfortable in the life that you're living, and you're just waiting for somebody else to do it when God is wanting you to do something. Yeah. That's what I wanted to share.
Amen. It's like that. What is it? Is it Uncle Sam when he's pointing at?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Uncle Sam wants you. Yeah.
We want you.
They used that to recruit back in World War II, I think.
But I feel like a lot of this is where you walk the walk. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us, we just talk, but this is where it's like, okay, what you're saying, we're lined up and we're seeing it around us, like people just kind of confident that somebody else is going to do the job. Somebody else is
or hoping that somebody else is going to do it.
Hoping that somebody else will do it. And that person is hoping that somebody else will do it. And you go in a circle, and nothing's being done. But we need to carry that weight. We need to feel that burden. We need to wake up, and realize that this is ours to fight, right? I don't know. But
well, and I think that's my thing. Like, I don't think I'm in the freedom to say yet what just happened with an event that's happening in Portland. Yeah. But there is such a lack of interest in what God is doing here and spreading the gospel that it's jeopardized now, like an event that's supposed to take place. Like, it doesn't mean that it's been canceled, but just, things have changed drastically. And I feel like that's the problem. Like, everyone is so comfortable just waiting for somebody else to take action. And God bless those people that are, right? And but I mean, this is how do I say this? Like, this is a cry to myself too, because I know that we're committed, and we we spend a lot of time in church and ministry. We've opened up our home, for people to be blessed, and whatever opportunity that we have to share the gospel, like, we're on it, But sometimes I feel like it's still not enough. Sometimes I feel like we still fall short.
I think because we see around and we see the need still. We see the need, we see what needs to be done, and we see the souls.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I just think about the ones that we all need Jesus. All of us. And these things, like with the Olympic thing, it's like, no, like we can't just sit back. We can't just sit back. Because here's the thing, and I know we've said this so many times, is that if we're not saturating our own family, our own kids, our own youth, our own church with Jesus and spreading the gospel, the devil will.
Yeah, absolutely. The devil doesn't take any days off.
No, there's no, like, I think my mom mentioned this in one of the meetings we had. There's no junior devils.
Right.
The devil's not like, oh, she's only 8. Let's
leave her alone until
she's not ready yet. No. Like, the devil takes full advantage, and we just sit back and watch and wait for somebody else to do the job that we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be out reaching souls. We're supposed to be doing the follow-up. We're supposed to be, everything that, like the Bible says, go and make disciples.
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
I don't think we are. Yeah, I don't think we are. And I think that there's definitely something happening. Like, I feel like we were starting to see a true revival happening here in Portland. But now I feel like just something changed again. Something changed again in the sense that I feel like there was momentum, and now for some reason it feels like it kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if it has anything to do with the election. Like, everybody is starting to be afraid again or whatever, right? But even with that, like, I mean, I feel like we're in a place now where you have to mark what side of the fence you're on, you know? And obviously, again, I am on the side of what is closest to my moral beliefs and what the Bible says, and that's what I'm gonna vote for. I think people are so caught up about, like, making history and voting the first woman president and this and that, but I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. Like, I don't care about that as long as they lead our country in the direction of what it says, founded by, or in God we trust is what it used to say. I don't even know if it says that anymore.
I know.
But, like, I just, man, I'm nervous about the times that we're living in. I'm nervous about what's going to happen if Trump actually wins. I'm nervous about like what's going to happen to our country. And I feel like not everyone, but Christians are focused on immigration, and they're focused on, quote unquote equality and this and that. But in all honesty, we should be focused on what is this person going to do to bring our country closer to God, not further away from it.
Well, I think a lot of us, or a lot of people, are like, if it's not affecting me directly, I'm fine.
Right.
Do you know? Like, it's not affecting me directly. I still have a roof over my head. I still have food. My family's not being deported. My kids are safe, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I don't think we should see it like that.
Right.
Because then it causes us to be comfortable and feel like, okay, well, yeah, the world is falling apart, but here in our bubble, we're safe, which is like that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, because obviously we want our bubble to be
right.
Yeah,
yeah. But that's how we get comfortable. Yeah. That's how we get comfortable. That's how it's like, oh, okay, like we sit back and we wait for others to do the job because we're just comfortable.
Yeah.
I go to church. I'm committed. I love Jesus. I seek him. I have a relationship with him. Okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we should be doing more to get out of our comfort zone and be like, let's reach others so they also feel peace. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that.
Well, no, I think too, people are thinking that we have so much time left.
Right.
Because, I mean, the gospel has been preached now for over 2,000 years. Yeah. And I think everyone thinks like, oh, well, look at how long it's come. But, I mean, our prayer obviously is always for God to protect us and keep us safe. But, I mean, at any moment, our life can come to an end, and obviously that's not what we want. That's not our prayer. But and I'm guilty of this, we get so caught up in thinking that nothing is going to happen to me. And you can call that faith. You can call it whatever you want, because we live that way. Right. We live a lifestyle that says nothing's going to happen to us. And we believe it. Like, I don't I believe it. Like, I believe no harm is going to come our way. Like, I always say, like, I'm going to be immortal because I'm not going to die. Like, I'm going to come with I'm going to be alive when the second coming of Jesus happens. But I feel like, we feel like we have so much time. Yeah. But in reality, like, I feel like the time is getting cut short.
But look at everything we're living. Yeah. Like, we're living the end times.
We are, yeah.
You know, like, we're living the end times, and we don't have that much time.
We don't have that luxury of time anymore.
We don't. Just look at how fast time is going.
But I think that's why. So when you have that type of mentality, then it's easy to put your calling, your ministry on the back burner, because it's like, oh, well, it's just one Sunday. But then that one Sunday throughout the year becomes many Sundays. Right. And then you think like, here, oh, well, I'm just so committed because I do this, I go here, I go there. But are you really, like, you know? And I think that's what I feel the conviction in regards to, like, just not, just, you know, who are we fooling? I think is what it is. It's like, you know, we're like those Israelites that, okay, we're lined up to go to fight, but nobody's fighting. Like, everybody's looking around and just, well, I think that guy's challenging you, you know, it's not me. Or you look the other way.
Pointing fingers.
Exactly, you know, and I think we need to wake up. I think there's so much that needs to be done. And that doesn't mean like it has to be something drastic. It just means your own priorities getting sorted out and making a difference.
I mean, it can be drastic too. But
well, obviously, like, you know, like, if you had been feeling God tugging on your heart, telling you to whatever, I mean, you should do it, you know, and you should use, I hope that this is like a confirmation for you to say, dang, like, I'm going to step out and I'm going to do it. Yeah. And the thing is that, and here's the thing that I think we also miss is that David, like I said, the Bible doesn't say if he had fear or not, but he sure didn't show it. And he just believed in God more than whatever fear he could have felt. Yeah. And that's why he conquered this giant, you know?
And I think in that, the fear, I mean, maybe some of you feel fear, but do it scared, you know? And God is going to back you up. And I feel like God is, man, he honors us so much when we put ourselves out there for him, you know, and being bold for Christ is something that you should feel proud about, you know, like the same way the soldiers go and die for their country. Like, I'm not saying go out there and die, but I'm saying like that's the boldness we need.
Yeah, but that's a reality though, that following Jesus means that you could lose your life. Yeah. And he said it, you know, but we've given our life so much significance that we're trying to live our life based on what's making us happy in the moment. Right. And not what eternally,
what's making us money.
Yeah. And not what eternally is going to be the greatest reward. Yeah. You know, and I think that's why, you know, my message is not be like David. No. My message is have the fear of God like David did and go out there and defeat whatever giant is in front of you. Yeah. And that could be anything, obviously. That can be anything. So I don't know, man. I just felt so strongly. Like I gave this message in Florida, and I like I said, I know that I've given this message before because it just comes to me so easily. And it's something that, like I feel like there's a boldness behind it, and there's an anointing behind it even. And I hope and I pray that the people that did the altar call or went up into the altar call, like they understood, because I was very specific when I did the altar call. Like, I'm like, don't just come up here because you're emotional about what you're listening to. Right. And no. Like, think about, and I'm like, you know, like, I don't care if nobody comes up here. Right. Because that's not the point. The point here is, if you're tired of just sitting around and waiting for somebody else to do it and you feel God convicting you, then come up. But by coming up, that doesn't mean you're going to be that David and you're going to, no, by coming up, that just means that you're trusting God to put you through whatever process he's going to put you through, and you're just going to trust him. And that's it. There's no winning. There's no losing. Yeah. It's just trusting in God, and that's it. So anyhow, like I said, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, like, our church needs to hear this, or Bible study, whatever it is, man, get a hold of me. I would love to expand on this more. And I will do whatever I can to make it up to wherever you're at. So hit me up for sure. But that's basically what I had in my heart
to share.
But there's just so many things happening in the world. Like, I had been seeing all these posts about Venezuela, like, don't stay quiet for us. So I finally found a reel that some Venezolanos shared about exactly what's happening. And yeah, man, like, no wonder that place is in chaos. No wonder people are escaping there. And it's just, I can't even imagine the lifestyle that they're living there, where you can't even find the basic essentials, and they're literally living under a dictatorship. And they just had an election, and the person that the country voted for by 70% is what I'm seeing was the winner. And the dictator's like, nope, like, I'm the one that wins. And he's like trying to present like all this false information. So now people are going back out to the streets, protesting, and people are being killed. And you can imagine. That's what I'm afraid of. No, I'm not afraid, but that's what it makes me nervous about right now. Like, Trump winning, and then all the Democrats and all these people that hate Trump, retaliating. And this is the thing. Oh my God, this is the thing I think that upsets me.
There's so many Trump supporters too, though. Like, I don't think these people realize the type of Trump supporters that there is. Like, go ahead, try to go protest. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. This is the condition of the country that we're living in, where you can no longer have an argument with someone and have a debate.
A discussion.
Now it's like, nope, I don't like what you're saying. And you're like, you are now labeled as somebody that promotes hate. Canceled. Somebody that, And I told you the other day that recently, and I haven't done it since I told you, actually, because I was like, what the heck for, right? But I had been going into TikTok forums where people are Kamala Harris 2024. And I go in there and I start like, picking fights, basically.
Stir it up.
Yeah, I start stirring the pot, and they just mute me. They kick me out of the group. But I'm not saying anything hateful. I'm just going off of the facts that I think are real and just trying to discuss it. Like, okay, so what do you think? Like, everybody's so like, oh, like, we got to vote in the first woman president. I'm like, wait, why are Democrats don't even believe in gender? So why, and I'll get kicked out right away. But I mean,
who let this guy in?
But what I guess the point is that there's not that interaction
they want to talk.
of
no. Yeah, they
just want to silence whoever does not sound like they sound.
Like, this whole, like, okay, going back to the Olympic thing, it's more than just political. It's like a demonic agenda at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
And they like need to be recognized. If not, you promote hate, you're canceled, you are like, they just need to shut you up. What they're trying to do is shove us into a corner, a closet, whatever, and for them to shine. But it goes more than political. It goes more than whatever. It's like a straight up demonic agenda.
And what's crazy is, like, now all of the stars are coming out, and like one of the guys from NSYNC, I forgot his name, the gay guy. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, I forgot his name. But he's like, Kamala, what's going to happen to Donald Trump in November? Bye. And it's like, and now John Legend is going to be performing at the DNC. And then George Clooney now is like everyone now is like behind her. And I'm just like, man, like, I wish there were famous people that had the guts to stand behind Donald Trump like that. And sadly, there isn't.
I was hearing a podcast of this lady who used to be
Republican, Democrat.
No, but like a journalist. And then now she's the opposite, Democrat. And so she says that there's so many celebrities that reach out to her secretly telling her like, I really wish I could support you and Trump. Yeah. But.
Oh, so she's a Republican now.
No. Wait, yes.
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 Donald
she goes
Trump
for
is a
Trump.
Republican, yeah.
Okay. But she's like, it's so sad to hear because like they just stay quiet or they go the opposite way, but they send her these messages saying like, man, like, or when she goes to a whatever and she meets people and they tell her like, I wish we could do this, but I can't. And it sucks, you know, because they're.
Yeah. Sorry. It's because this thing popped up. I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Wow.
Well, the other thing is that, you know, like when I'm in these forums or in these chats on TikTok, there was a guy that's like, you know what, I want a bright future for my daughters and I'm doing this for and I'm like, bro, like if you vote for Harris, Biden, like your daughters don't have a future because they don't believe in male, you know, and I know I'm generalizing, but most of them have that set of beliefs, you know? So it's just, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something specific about what you were saying, and then I got this pop up on my computer, and I totally forgot what it was. What were you saying again?
About the journalist.
Yeah, about the journalist standing behind him.
No, a lot of famous people secretly tell her, like,
I wish I could be behind you.
Yeah, but it sucks, man.
And then, this is what I was going to say. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that are like, how could you vote for a convicted felon? And I'm like, well, what are your sins? Like, you know, here we are, like everyone wants to like put on blast, like whatever he was convicted of with, but why are we pretending like we're so perfect and why are we pretending like we don't have any sins? They're just not getting exposed like somebody else's, you know, and that in itself is a whole nother story for me too, because I think that they purposely were going after him and literally trying to silence his voice,
nitpick him.
And, I guess we'll see what happens.
I mean, all in all, may God's will be done.
And it is, and I have peace at that.
Yeah, will be.
And I have peace with that. Like, I've been thinking about that. Like, what if Harris does win? Well, at the end of the day, it is God's will, you know, and He is sovereign, and you know, He is our protector, you know. So even if she does. Even if she is elected as the president, like, I mean, we're still going to pray for her. We're still going to bless her because that's what the Bible calls us to do. Yeah. We're probably not going to be happy with the result, but I mean, we weren't with Biden, and 4 years later, here we are praying for Trump again, you know? So whatever, man. I mean, yeah, whatever happens is going to happen and is meant to happen. And, you know, I guess, yeah.
In God we trust.
In God we trust. Yeah. So, Anyways, let's pray for Venezuela. Let's pray for our elections. And I pray for you, man. I pray for you to be, you know, stirred up. Like Paul told Timothy, let fan the fire that is in you. That means when you fan a fire, I don't know if you guys, you know, but that means there's a tiny little bit of fire that maybe is hidden or it's so dim. But when you start fanning it and the coals start breathing that air, that fire little by little starts to catch and it becomes this big flame again. And that's exactly what Paul was telling Timothy, like fan that fire that is in you.
Amen.
So I bless you and I pray that.
I heard something in a video that was shared, that just a reminder that, you know, as a body of you that are listening, us, you know, we are the remnant. You know, we are the salt of this world. We are the light. Create that resistance, you know, that like holy resistance, and be bold for your faith, be bold for Jesus, and don't allow these things to come and intimidate us, because I feel like that's sometimes what we feel too is, oh no, like, you know, we feel intimidated, so we stay quiet, we stay silent. But no, like if these people can be bold about what they believe in and they don't have Jesus, you know, like we need to stand up and be bolder and represent the kingdom of God, represent Jesus, and know that He has our back no matter what.
And don't be fooled. Like, I know we live in a social media. Yeah, Jesus is your ride or die. I know we live in a social media driven world, but don't don't feel like you have to be bold on social media. Like,
be bold in real life.
Exactly. That's my point.
Be
exactly.
bold in real life.
Yeah. Like anybody can put a verse, anybody can say this, but crap. You don't know the lifestyle that they truly live. So if you want to be bold on Instagram, like do it. Like I don't want to discourage you.
Be bold in the streets.
That's
be bold
my
when
point.
you go to the store. Be bold reaching out to people. Be bold preaching the gospel. Be bold praying for people. So many people are longing for a miracle. For like we did an outreach this last weekend, and man, like I gotta give it up for the people who were praying for those new people. Like some people didn't even speak English or Spanish. They were speaking Romanian, and they were like crying because these men and women were just like on fire praying for them. And what were they feeling was like that the presence, the spirit of God, like despite the language, like be bold in the real world, not behind a screen, not behind a keypad, not behind be bold in real life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So remember that you are the remnant, you are the salt of this world, you are chosen, you are set apart, child of God. Do what you were put on this earth to do. I'm out.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it on that. Go read 1 Samuel chapter 17. Read the full story of David and Goliath, and let the Holy Spirit bring this other perspective that I brought to light today, because I'm sure we haven't focused on that part, and I feel like that part is just as important as the rest of the story. But hit me up, let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for listening. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. We got quite a few things to do, but yeah, I just didn't want to let another time go by, another day go by without recording this. So they should be dropping soon. God bless you guys. Thank you again for listening. Follow us on Instagram, the Nonsense Podcast. And
at the end of the day, it's nonsense to somebody.
At the end of the day, it's nonsense to somebody. All right, guys. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Have a good week.